Welcome back to the RecklessWrenchGarage. I am Chris, and today we're tearing apart another rear end. That didn't sound right. This is a 94 Sterling 10 1/4 from a Ford F-Series truck. I believe this one's from an F350. Single rear wheel. This is a 410 gear ratio in here, so that is why I'm getting this ready to swap into the truck. The plan for this axle is to put a locking differential in it. That's why I have it out and on the stands right now. I have a factory electronic locker from a 2011 and up Ford Super Duty. I bought it from a dealership online. You could get them for under $500 shipped. It's cheaper than any other locker that I've seen on the market for the Sterling axles. There is a couple little modifications that I'll have to do to make a 10.5 inch carrier work in here, but it's nothing major. If you could set up the gears, you're gonna have no problems with this anyway. So one thing to point out here, now that I have the ring gear pulled off, the 10 1/4 carriers uses a tone ring that's mounted in between the ring gear and the carrier here. And you can see there's this little notch in the carrier, and the tone ring has a tab, and that sits in there. It's not like a machine fit or anything like that. It's a pretty wide open gap. So the new carrier I'm putting in here, it doesn't have a tone ring at all. It wasn't meant for it. But you could still put it on there. You just don't have the notch. So you could either notch your carrier out like this, or you can honestly just cut off the tab on your tone ring and push it on the carrier. Your ring gear is gonna hold it on anyway. So just to show you guys some of the differences and some of the work that you're going to have to do, this little tab and notch is one of them. Axle's taken apart, everything's kind of cleaned up inside the housing. I got the gear pulled off the pinion. It had one shim, which was 22 thousandths. So I cut apart the old carrier bearing and the old main pinion bearing, and I'm gonna use these as basically press plates to put the new pinion bearing on and the new carrier bearings on. I like using these to press the new parts on because you're not gonna damage your cages or anything like that, which I have done before by not using proper stuff. But interesting enough, the carrier bearing, this one I took off, it has major pitting and corrosion inside the raceway there where the tapered bearings are. So this thing was on its last life. I mean, glad I'm putting all new bearings and races and whatnot in here. So, yep, time to start slamming new parts together and get it back in the axle. Now, you could do this two different ways. Factory style uses a crush sleeve that goes right there in between the inner and the outer bearing. And then whenever you torque your pinion nut, this crushes down at a certain amount of foot-pounds, and you have to hold the yoke and then slowly crush it until you get the exact amount and it moves back and forth. And this is very difficult, and it's a one-time use thing. Like once you use it once, and say you set up your pattern and it's junk, you gotta take it out, do it again. This is trash. You can't use it again. So the best thing to do is to use a crush sleeve eliminator. This is actually a Ford 9-inch crush sleeve eliminator, and it fits perfectly on the 10 1/4 pinion. So the Ford 9-inch eliminator, this is a 2-piece design. You have the 2 rings. This one is the bigger one. You put your shims inside of it, and then this just drops in like that. You put it in there, you'll install it in your axle, drop your outer pinion bearing down, and then you just torque down your pinion nut. If this is too short, you could crush your bearing in your cages. So the best thing to do is start with a tall stack, set it up in there, and it will take a little bit of trial and error. This is gear setup though, is what you're getting into. You start torquing it, you move your yoke, and then as it gets tighter, if you hit your poundage that you need on your yoke, and this feels right, then you can measure it. You might have to take some adjustments, but it's really easy to tell as you're tightening it. If it's not gonna be good, then you'll know right away. The other recommendation I have, the pinion nut, these are supposed to be one-time use too. Use your old pinion nut. So use your existing pinion nut to do this, so that way you're not gonna burn up your brand new one, and it's gonna have the locking feature and be nice and fresh whenever you do final assembly. So let's get this thing set up. See how easy that spins? That's definitely too much, or that's nowhere near enough preload on those bearings, and that thing's definitely seated. So we know our stack was too high, which we expected because we built it high for that reason. Usually what I do is when I have no kind of idea on the height it wants, I kind of do the rule of halves. So I know this is in there, it's too high. I'll take half of whatever my shim stack is, and then measure it again. If I'm still too high, half it again. But if I'm too low, it's too tight, then I will increase it by 25%. So I don't know if that makes any sense to you guys, but it makes sense in my head. I reduced my shim stack by half, put it back together, and it's tight. My spec with brand new bearings is 20 to 30 foot-pounds. I'm right at, inch-pounds, 20 to 30 inch-pounds to turn it. And you don't want to look at the breakover turning, but like while you're mid-turn. I'm about 10 inch-pounds too high, so I'm going to add 25% of what I took out back in it, and then try it again. All right, so after my 4th change, I finally got it dialed in right where I want it. I'm right at, I don't know if I can hold it still. I'm right at 20 to 22. It's good, it's perfect, right where it needs to be. And you can see it spins, but it's got some friction to it. So we're gonna measure our backlash. And if you don't know, backlash is the distance between the ring gear and the pinion gear, that gap that's in between them. For this axle, the backlash is supposed to be between 6 and 10 thousandths. So let's see what we got. So it appears we're about 9 thousandths backlash, which I'm obviously moving the gear more than I need to, but that's within spec. So that's good. If you don't know, the gear paint, it really helps if you dilute it down with gear oil, about 50-50, and it really makes the pattern a lot more readable whenever you are running it. All right, the hard part is done. I took the pinion and the ring gear out a few different times to try different shim depths on the pinion. This is a used set of gears, so getting a readable pattern is difficult, and these are already worn in, so it's not gonna look like your typical gear pattern. If you have a used set of gears, the best way to do it is to read a pattern from the coast side, because it's not as worn and blasted in like the drive side of the gears. I did run a pattern before I took it all apart. I was just a little leery because of how worn the bearings were, and I don't totally know if this axle was ever messed with. I don't believe it was. I ran the pattern a few different ways, and then ultimately I just put it back together with the stock height pinion shim. I have to pull this out one more time, so the bearing caps aren't tight yet, and I still have to take out the yoke one more time so I can pop the seal back in, but I'm done messing with that. The one other thing I have is the wiring for the locker, which I will show you here right now. I cut off the connector that was on this harness to begin with because it's meant to connect up top here. So the 2011 and up axles has a boss cast into the housing, and then there's a little bulkhead connection right there, so you connect it there and then your chassis harness will connect over here. I don't obviously have any of that in this 96 or on this axle housing, so it doesn't matter to me. Two things you could do. Some people will drill a hole in here and then kind of put like a little bulkhead gland nut on that side, so you could feed your wires through and tighten it down, and then you seal it up. So that's one option. Option two is you grind a relief across the housing, and then you just fill it with sealant and smash it down with your diff cover housing. I think that's gonna work fine. I have it hot wired right now, so I'll show you it working and actuating so we know it's good to go before we close this up. The rear axle is reinstalled and everything's hooked back up. It's working good. In here, I'll show you. Ignore this, but I just put a switch panel in from a newer Ford Super Duty, or I think even the vans came with these. Wired it up so the locker, I have it set up on aux 4, just like that, on and off. The wiring is pretty straightforward, just positive and negative. Give yourself a relay in there, and you're good to go. I haven't had a chance to really test it yet or off-road or anything like that. Hopefully that's coming soon. My next project that's coming up on this is the solid axle swap on the front. Stay tuned for that. And then hopefully once that's done, we could go and use the truck and let it be a truck and stuff and not a project sitting in my shop and a problem. That's all I got for this episode. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay reckless.